Hello, listeners. This is Kat, and welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfics. This will be the continuation of Little Acts of Kindness. This will be Part 79, Chapter 79, entitled Frogs and Crawlers. Mina was bouncing up and down, excited as they got closer and closer to the Yaoyorozu's house. The plans for the girls' sleepover had been made, and Momo had graciously offered to let them use her family's house. Soon her parents turned up the driveway, and they were greeted with a large, modern-looking house. "Must be nice to be rich," her father said, looking at the building longingly. "Hush, our house is perfect for our family," her mother said, giving him a light swat. He just chuckled. "A guy can dream, can he?" Soon he came to a stop, and her parents gave her hugs and kisses goodbye, and told her to have fun as she grabbed her bags and headed to the door. Mina entered the house and was greeted by Momo and Sue, who had arrived before her. It took another half an hour before the rest of the girls, Uraraka, Toru, and Jiro, arrived. Mina beamed. "This is going to be fun. So, what do you want to start with?" "I don't know. I've never had a sleepover before," Momo admitted. "Me neither, Kero," Sue said, giving a nod. "I usually like to watch movies and paint nails," Uraraka offered. Jiro gave a shrug. "I'm down with whatever." "I've been to a few," Toru started, before her shoulders slumped. "But I was mostly left out." Mina's yellow eyes widened. "Oh no, how could they?" she said, hugging her invisible friend. "How about you pick what we start with then?" she questioned, glancing at the others to make sure they were okay with it. They were. Toru's sleeve lifted up, and she gave a thumbs up, only visible thanks to her gloves. "Would it be okay if we start with Uraraka's suggestion? That'd be so much fun." "Sure," Mina said. Soon the girls were all sitting comfortably at a table that they had moved in front of a huge TV. "What movie should we play?" Momo questioned, going over to a cabinet that had a bunch of movies on it. "What about Star Wars?" Uraraka suggested. "Original, prequel, or sequel?" Momo asked. "What about all of them?" Kero. "Yeah, we can have them playing in order as we have fun," Toru agreed. "Sounds good to me," Mina exclaimed as she pulled out the nail supplies she had brought, not knowing if Momo would have anything. The girls put the movie in and then sat down, looking at the supplies Mina had set up. "What is all this?" Uraraka questioned, holding up one of the cuticle pushers. "It's a cuticle pusher. Have you never used them before?" Momo answered. "They're used every time I go to a salon." Uraraka just opened her mouth. I've never been to a nail salon before." The girls made sympathetic noises, and soon were helping Uraraka treat her nails and take care of her cuticles. Once their nails were ready, they looked through the colors and picked some for each of their nails. Uraraka grabbed a bottle of neon yellow nail polish that Mina had never known she had. Toru grabbed a blue bottle. Sue grabbed a bottle of orange nail polish. Momo grabbed a whitish pink, and Mina debated before grabbing a purple, as well as a pastel blue and a pale yellow. Then her white lining polish. Jiro grabbed a bright hot pink. "If anyone wants art on their thumbs, let me know and I'll do my best to draw it for you guys." The girls painted each other's nails with their chosen colors, Mina doing some balloons on her thumbnails. As per requested, she drew some designs on the others. Butterflies on Uraraka's. Momo got little blue diamonds. Sue got little red polka dots. "I'm poisonous, Kero," she said, turning her nails to see them. Jiro got a microphone done on her thumbnails. Mina did designs on Toru's nails. She wasn't sure how she did, given the invisibility, but she tried her best. She wasn't going to ignore Toru just because of her quirk. Every girl deserves pampering. So she was going to make sure this was the best sleepover ever. Finally, though, the girls were sitting with hands splayed out, top coats applied. They relaxed, watching the movie play on the TV screen as their nails dried. It didn't take long, but the group got distracted by the movie and didn't even think about their nails until it was over. Momo put in the next movie and the girls discussed what to do next, which led to them playing board games. The most vicious of board games, the one that ruins families and friendships. Monopoly. Alliances were made, broken, friendships destroyed, and renewed. But in the end, the winner was Uraraka, who was a fiend with money. She looked mournfully at the fake money as they put it away. Mina patted her on the shoulder. "Snack time," Mina said, beaming at everyone as Momo led them to the kitchen, where they started to look through what Momo had. "Momo, do you have any Pocky?" Jiro questioned. "No, sorry, Jiro," Momo apologized. Mina froze for a moment. It wouldn't be an awesome sleepover if one of them was missing their favorite snacks. This wouldn't do. Mina turned to the others and gave a smile. "How about we go to the convenience store and get some? We can make sure everyone has their favorite snacks," she suggested. "All right," Toru cheered. "It's fine. We don't have to go," Jiro said, her earlobe jack shifting. "This is great. I can get some chocolate while we're there. I'm running low," Momo said, giving a smile. With that, the girls got ready to head out, the 6 of them walking together to a nearby convenience store and browsing through it for their favorite snacks. They also ended up buying some drinks. They were all laughing and having a good time as they exited the store, each carrying a bag of goodies. They might have gone a bit overboard on getting things, and Momo had offered to pay for it all, earning tears of gratitude from the girls. Of course, during the checkout, Momo had realized Uraraka hadn't gotten anything and told her to return with no less than 5 items that she would pay for. Uraraka's tears had probably been the most emotional out of all of them. The group had started walking back to Momo's home when a voice called out from behind them. "Whoa, Sana, dude, is that you? We haven't seen you in forever, man." The girls, not recognizing the name, continued on, though they stopped when they realized Sue had, and that she had tensed up. "Sue, is something wrong?" Momo questioned. "Come on, Sana, don't ignore us. We used to be best friends," another voice called out. "My name is Tsuyu, not Sana, Kero," Sue said, turning around. Mina, sensing that her friend was going to need comfort, stepped next to her, eyeing the guys. One of them, with black hair, rolled his eyes. "Oh, come on, Sana. That joke got old ages ago." Sue's eyes held a few tears as she bit out. "It's not a joke. It was never a joke." "You're upsetting our friend. You should leave," Momo said, stepping forward and moving in front of Sue. "Yeah, leave Sue alone," Uraraka said. The second guy, who had brown hair, frowned. "Seriously? Did Sana tell you the same shit he told us? That he was a female and was getting his name changed?" The black-haired grinned. "I still think he's using it as an excuse to hang with all the babes." Sue sniffled, and Mina reached over and hugged her as she glared at the guys. "Leave, you assholes," Jiro spat. "Yeah, what are you doing insulting our friend like that? If Sue feels more comfortable being female, then who are you to tell her that she shouldn't feel that way?" Uraraka said, her eyes almost seeming to light on fire. Toru's voice whispered, "I tied their shoelaces. We can leave and get away." With that, the girls left, arms wrapped comfortingly around Sue, but not without one last parting shot to the boys who hurt their friend. "You should be ashamed of your behavior, to treat Sue in such a way because of who she is. When you decided your bigotism was more important than friendship, you became worse than the scum on villain shoes," Jiro said. With that, the girls managed to return to Momo's house without any further incidents. They would spend the next hour comforting Sue and reassuring her that they were all okay with her, that they didn't think less of her, that they would still be her friends. Shota sighed, rubbing his face as he stared down at the papers. He had been assigned to the Dual Eyes case, but so far he had a whole lot of nothing. He knew that the villain factory from the Trigger case was involved, but he had yet to find a clue as to their location. He had checked the pattern they had followed the last time, but it didn't result in any new information. He needed more eyes looking around, and unfortunately, he had to devote most of his time to teaching his students. Stretching, he glanced up, making eye contact with one of the waiters of the cat cafe he was currently at. It was one that he hadn't frequented recently, but had been one he used to visit almost daily. The waiter still remembered him, though, as they brought over a coffee without Shota having to say anything. He took a sip, and a small crooked grin crossed his face. It was just right. Really, he didn't know why he stopped visiting this cafe. 10 minutes and no progress later, he was reminded why. "Eraserhead! I haven't seen you in almost a year." Shota glanced up, looking at the kid, or rather, former kid. He had grown up, after all, in all the years he had known him. "Koichi," he greeted, seeing how the vigilante wasn't in costume. The vigilante really hadn't been the best at hiding his identity, but the police pretended to not know so long as he was never caught, by them being a vigilante. "What are you doing here?" Koichi questioned. Working. What are you working on? Shota paused, debating the pros and cons of informing Koichi. A con was that the vigilante wasn't supposed to know. Another was that the guy would also immediately jump into the case. Pro, he would have an extra set of hands on the case, one who could get information when Shota couldn't. Koichi waited, and Shota let out a sigh. If I tell you, I want you to communicate anything you find with me. Don't do anything stupid. This isn't something that can be dealt with solo, Shota said, narrowing his eyes at the vigilante. Brown eyes narrowed, and the man gave a nod. Must be pretty big, then, if you're actually willing to tell me. Shota took a sip of his coffee. There's a new drug being tested. We captured someone who was using his quirk to administer the drug, and have learned it's called Dual Eyes. It has some of the same markers as the Trigger case, black tongue, and it's being administered by a boy with an insect-controlling quirk. Queen Bee? Koichi asked immediately, his eyes hardening as he remembered what the villain had done to his friend. No, but he is related to her, and unfortunately, he was broken out of the prison, Shota said, sliding over the papers he had. Koichi looked at them and gave a nod. All right, Eraser. You know I'm in. Shota sighed. I know. Koichi read over the files, blinking for a moment and then looking up. You got quite a bit of information on this Taro Hachisuka, despite him not answering the police. Yes, 2 of my students have had the misfortune of knowing this villain. The information came from them, and their direct reports are in the file. Koichi nodded, flipping through. Hero names. Smart. Are they at any risk from the villain? Ark was a former schoolmate, and unlikely to be targeted. Anima has a distant relationship, and was the one who brought Taro in. He has people on standby nearby just in case, but isn't suspected to be a priority target, Shota informed the vigilante. Koichi gave him a thumbs up, and finished reading the files. The two talked about the case for a little while longer before Shota stood up, to take to the streets to patrol for any crimes, or if there was any new information on Dual Eyes. All right, listeners, this concludes Chapter 79 of Little Acts of Kindness. Chapter 80 will be up next. I really like this chapter a lot. I think the backstory with Sue is really well done, and I like the fact that the author gave us a flip version of the boys' sleepover. We got to see what the girls would do instead, so I thought that was pretty cool. There's also this really nice creation of a subplot going on throughout this fic as well, where you get a lot of pulls and references to the Vigilante series, and I think the author's doing a nice job of putting their own creative spin on it, like a forward flash, like after the fact for that series, which I think is really cool. Another fanfic that actually does a nice job with tying in a lot of references to the Vigilante series that I personally like is Viridian the Green Guide, which is probably one of the more popular Vigilante fanfics out there in this fandom. And that's by Clouds, and I highly recommend it. It's a really great series, part of their For the Want of a Nail series. So with the addition of some of these other characters, mentions and references to Queen Bee and Koichi, I'm really excited to see where this fic progresses. And please just drop those comments and reactions below. I'll always recommend to slide over to AO3 to leave your comments and kudos to the original authors. And as always, thank you all so much for listening.